Hello everyone. Today I would like to talk about Terraform, and this is going to be a very short video. Well, I'm going to explain you or try to explain you what is Terraform, right? And it's going to be a really very basic, a big picture of what it is Terraform. Terraform is basically something that we use to get infrastructure as code. So what this means, you can write your infrastructure in code, like you write an actual program, like you write an application. But instead of writing an application, you're going to be writing how is your infrastructure going to be. To set an example for this one is if you go to back to the old days, right? You have to manage your infrastructure physically. Like you have a server, you can touch it, you can connect it to a network. You have a physical hard drive, you can plug it into this one and configure the server to make sure it works for you, right? Then there was the cloud. And the cloud was an abstraction of that where you can create a VM or any other resources, storage resources, disk, networks, services on it. But sometimes it requires to create a whole environment or a VM or any part of your infrastructure, a website, whatever, the same way consistently, right? So let's say you want to have an infrastructure for developer, right? So you want to have a consistent infrastructure when you move to a QA or a production environment. So the cloud give you that option, right? To pretty much like cloning, but this won't be too much like a cloning. You'll be writing the state of that resource into a code in a file. I'll explain that myself in a minute with a demo. And you can declare how is it going to be your infrastructure. So you can do this repeatedly over and over, create it and destroy it as you wish, and always create it the same way as the first time, right? And you can change it and declare it, configure it. So make sure that when you create it for the second time versus when you create it on the portal, for example, when you do the wizard and click next, next through every one of the steps in the screen, right, you might be typing something different first compared to the first time you did. So that is one of the difference. I'm going to show you that, right? So benefits of using Terraform or infrastructure as code, pretty much, right? So when you sit down and write your infrastructure, you wanted to do that, you're going to get faster time to production market. That's something unrepeatable right over here. So second time is you're going to improve consistently, like we talked about a minute ago, right? Less configuration drift. You're going to make sure that whatever you write on the code for one of your environments is going to be set to the other environments, just changing the names of that environment, for example, right? Setting up this is going to be QA or production, but all the configurations is going to be exactly the same consistently. And you something you can improve along the way. Um, three, I would say, faster, more efficient deployments, of course. Since you don't have to deal with the human error when you're deploying, right? You're always going to be consistent. That's automatically going to give you a very more efficient deployment of your resources. And once you master Terraform and infrastructure as code, it's going to be lower costs on the innovating for development. You don't need to spend um, time fixing stuff, right? Why is it working? Why does it work on dev? What doesn't work on production? If you can figure it out, why is not having the same infrastructure on both sides? This will solve you that. That's one of the big pictures. So I'll just use the presentation very quickly, but I would like to jump into a demo, right? So for this demo, what you can expect for this short demo I'm going to give you, I'm going to show you how to install Terraform in the Windows. We're going to be installing also Terraform plugin in VS Code. And right after we do that, we're going to have our environment set up. We're going to run some basic commands, init, validate, plan, and apply. I'd include destroy, but we're going to be looking into it as well. And we're going to be creating some pretty fancy infrastructure, very simple actually. in Azure with the Terraform over there. So let me go ahead and don't go for that. First of all, let's go to Terraform right now. And this is their page, right? So Terraform comes in a binary um, executable file for Windows. It's a very easy file to download. So when you do that, you're going to download over here your AMD file for that matter. Okay, that's what you're going to do. So let's go ahead and download it. And one of the things that it says over here, you're going to download it um, is the actual 1.2.3 version right now. It sounds funny that we have that. And second, then we're going to look for system or variables. It will be easier if I can spell correctly. So here we're going to have our environment variables, right? The system in the system properties. We're going to go to the environment variables. And here, this is the user on the top variables for the user, the actual user right now. I'm looking for the system variables. So once I have downloaded this file over here, which is not downloaded yet, I'm going to go ahead and open command line real quick. I already have installed it, so I just want to check out what is the version currently I have. So, but I'm going to show you anyway. Let's go ahead and run the Terraform version. And I have like 1.2.2. Perfect. It says you can download the 1.2.3 version. So this is what we did. So I'm going to open the file. And this is an executable file, which is pretty simple. Let's close this window. And let me bring it up a file. I already have it over here. So let me bring up the system variables again. The way we're going to install this one is we're going to copy this Terraform file into a folder. I already have set this up, so I'm going to copy in the binaries. And here I got the .exe Terraform. This is the 1.2.3 version, 1.2.2 version you showed it before. So let me see if I can see it over here. Details, I think. No. But this one was kind of June 1st. So let's replace that, right? Let's close this one. And let's check again on my variables. On the system variables over here, you're going to look for path. In path, we're going to edit, and then you're going to add a new. And then here you're going to add the directory where you set it up. In my case, I put it on the binaries as where my Terraform executable is. And that's all you have to do it. With that, you got Terraform installed in your system. To confirm that I was okay, remember my version was 1.2.2. Let's run the command again. Now is 1.2.3. We successfully updated our version, which is pretty much the same thing as installed. We're good to go over here. So now we know that Terraform is, we got to install it. Let's create some resources. Let's go to VS Code, right? I created an empty folder over here. And for that matter, I'm going to go to the extensions. It's a very easy way to install it. So just look on the extensions, anything for Terraform. I installed three main plugins for this one, which are an official one for the HashiCorp Terraform, right? That's the one I'm looking at it. I'm looking as well for the Terraform from this guy. I like it because it helps to exactly what the picture says over here, right? It's going to help you to simplify your development by the code syntax. And this one is from Azure Terraform to let you do Terraform from Azure if you like to. I'm not going to use this one on this demo, but it's good to have it because you can run it directly with your CLI command from here. So let's go for that, right? So let's create our first script in Azure for this. So first of the things you want to create is a file. Like I said, I already have a folder, an empty folder created. I'm going to call this main .tf, which is the file structure, right? The TFS is going to be the file used by Terraform. That's going to define this is a Terraform file, and you can see it because you're going to see a icon describing this is a Terraform file, right? So let's look on Google, or let's Google how do you can do something. I want to show you something real quick. I want to create an app service. So if you go and I want to create just a website. Um, so let's look at it like that. I'm going to show you how to create an app service using Terraform. There's a nice tutorial over here, and I'm going to follow this one. I'm going to go keep and simplify, and I'm going to lose the second link over here, which is take me to a Terraform registry in a minute. So this one is how do you create prerequisites. So you can follow this along. It's pretty much what I'm doing over here. Um, again, let's go and stick to something more simple. This is what is called a Terraform registry. It's different from the page that where we were looking at it, right? This is like a registry where there's a bunch of modules and documentations you can follow for this one. One of the main things we need to know about it is that with Terraform, you can just build a lot of stuff in different clouds, right? That's what it's going to do. It's not only Azure, you can build it in many things. So in order to connect to a specific cloud, we're going to call this a provider. So here on the left, if I click on the left, it will take me to all kinds of providers. There's a lot of stuff you can create with Terraform, not only in the cloud. I mean, you can go ahead and create things in Splunk or for Akamai, for Oracle, directly to Kubernetes. Not exactly to the entire cloud, but these are the main or the major cloud services you can use right now out of the box. So we are going to be creating stuff in Azure. So the logical stuff is to create an Azure stuff. I created a main because it's a good practice. You're going to see it too many people creating a main file with TFS extension on it, right? So the first thing we need to do is declare a provider, right? So we're going to tell them, we're going to tell Terraform that we want to use this provider. And the way we do it is like this. We copy this and we put it on our main structure. This is saying, hey, I'm going to be a Terraform. A required provider is going to be Azure. I wanted to download it from HashiCorp. And this is going to be the address where you're going to take it, the registry again, like in a Docker version, you can say, but this is going to be the registry for modules in HashiCorp, right? And we're going to state the version that we want for this. And leave this one at the moment. We'll get back in a minute for this one. All right, so we got our provider. Now we are need to be looking for modules, right? So I know the module for a web app I wanted to build is, if I don't know, I just Google it like before, right? Like the day before, and it will probably take me to this one. Let me open it again so you can see a thing. And it says this is going to be managing app services with an app service plan. But there's a red note over here that says, hey, this resource has been deprecated in version 3. Hey, what version am I using it? 3.11. Yeah, so this has been deprecated, meaning I cannot use it. We're going to be showing deprecated. I should be using something else. And it tells me the answer right away over here. It says, hey, you want to create a Linux app or a Windows app? So this is going to be your guy. So it opens up and take me to an app services managed by Linux, right? And here we have a provider again, right? This is again the provider because we need to declare it. We already declared it, so we can ignore that part. But here is an example of what we're going to be creating right out of the box for this, right? And let's copy that one and take it. I'm going to copy this one. Let's put the features on it over there. Let's go back to my Visual Studio. I don't have any configurable options, so I can just put it back and let's change it. I got features. I got an empty features for Azure RM, but I got 3 resources that I'll be looking into it. Um, since we're going to build this in Azure, of course, we're going to be needing a resource group. So let me explain this line by line so you can understand what we're going to be creating and how is this going to be creating, okay? First of all, first in the line 14, you're going to create a type resource. It's, as you can see, is highlighted in green, right? And we are telling Terraform that it's going to be a resource. Um, there's 2 types of resources you can create within Terraform, right? The one is a resource, which is hosted over here, and we are looking at resource because it's highlighted under the resources. Again, I'm showing you how to use the documentation. We are under the app services, and this is going to be a resource. But what happens if we already have the resource created in Azure? We just want to use it, like extract information from it. So what we do is we create a data source. So instead of creating a resource like it says over here, we're going to be creating an Azure a data resource type with Azure Linux Web App, an example. This is to let you know that this is possible, right? So if you want to kind of use whatever you already have without bringing it up to Terraform over here, you can. But this is not my case. I'm going to be using the resource group for Linux. That's the one I was highlighted before. This one. This is the example I want to use. So let me go ahead and explain a couple things for this. So what am I doing over here? Right. So first thing I need to do is all the 3 resources or the 3 settings I have over here is to create a resource, right? Not data. I'm not going to bring any data. I'm going to create from scratch, brand new stuff. So here it says, I'm going to create an Azure resource group. Pretty much that's what I'm saying. And this is the name it's being given inside of Terraform, right? This is not the name I'm going to give my name to my Azure resource. This is the name I'm going to be referencing this block of code over here. It's called example, right? But let's say that I don't want to be example. Let's say I want to example um, dash RG. All right. So when I do that, it breaks some references over here because now that I have a resource group created, I'm staying a few attributes like what's going to be your name, the resource group name. It's going to be this one. I'm going to be example resources and I'm going to put a dash RG as well for this to make sure that when I create it in Azure, I know there's a resource group. I'm going to leave the location, or I can just change it, but I'm going to leave it at the moment, so just for sake of the time. So what's next? Over here, we're going to create a second resource. It's going to be an Azure plan. Every website needs to have a plan for it. The compute part, so we're going to state it over here. So in the attributes, again, this is the name. I'm going to call this app service, and I'm going to put example. I just want to call it plan to make sure this is my app service plan, example plan. I'm going to put it over there. So when you see it over there, you see a difference when it's creating. So a mandatory field. Let me explain what it is. When we go back to the documentation, right, some arguments and attributes for this are going to be saying over here. So location is required. That means I can go without it. The name as well, and the resource group is also required, and the plan ID. How do I get a plan ID if I don't have anything, right? And the site configuration is also required. Maybe block can be empty, but it should be. So let's go for that and review that. I got location, which is required. And what he's doing over here is, okay, you want to set your group name. Okay, let's go and bring it up from the previous block you declare. Let's go put it over here. And this is the type you want. Before it was called example. Right now it's called example RG. So we need to correct this over here. So we're telling for the resource group, right? See now the run references changes because I updated over here. So it's saying for the resource group, I want you to put it on this resource group, which I name resource example RG, and bring up the name. This is the name it's going to bring up. So this is the name that we're going to be using over here. But we are changing only on one location. Instead of having multiple resources and having changing on multiple resources, that's a better way to references. Same thing for the location, right? See, one reference is over here only. Let's change that and put example RG. You're going to see how this reference is going to be updated to 2. Now this is good. Both this application service plan, sorry, is going to be hosted on this resource group, which is what we wanted. Uh, Same thing for this one. We need to fix this part. This is going to be creating our app. Our app is also going to be calling example over here. You can see, I'm going to leave this too so you can see it doesn't matter the name we put over here on this place. We can call it both the same, and it's going to be unique. It's going to be unique inside of the script. It doesn't matter. It's not going to fail. Not because of that one. It's going to fail for something else. I'm gonna get my heads up on this one, but it's not because this name the example I put it over here. Um, for the resources, let's update this also reference, and you're gonna see how this references is gonna update up to 3. Now we got 3 references for this. We're good. That's what we wanted, right? For the location, right? We wanted the same location. So we are doing the same thing, but with this one. We are saying we want the same location that you are building the app service plan. So I'm going to check for app service plan, which is this. I'm going to use what service plan do you have? Oh, yeah. Example. Let's go for that one. And let's go for the same attribute location. You got a attribute location? Yes, it's over here. So same thing for ID. This is how we're going to tell this web app to host it on this one over here. With this, we're good to go. So now we're going to talk about uh, our not three, there are 3 actually basic commands for what we have. It's init, valid, plan, and apply. I like to talk about 5. The first one is init. So let's bring up a terminal over here. And now that I have my terminal window, let's give it some room. We're going to clear the screen, right? So make sure that we were looking. And the first thing I would like to do is connect this session to my Azure, right? To my Azure account, to this one over here. So I'm going to leave that one open. Let's go back over here. I'm going to do an AC login. This is going to take me to the page of login. I'm trying to choose my account. And it says you have login. Perfect. Now I can close it. Perfect. It says I connected to my tenant and the visual tenant and the subscription that I want to do. Perfect. This is what I want. I want to build things in this subscription. Let me clear the screen again. Let me show you my subscription. So let's go back to Azure for a second. And I'm going to show you, I don't have plenty of resources. I don't have any example RG resources. The only thing I got is these 3 resource groups, right? So it is an empty thing. So what am I going to do first? Watch my left over here so you can see changes on this side of the screen. So I'm going to, first of all, run a Terraform init. This is the first command, one of the first most important. This is going to initialize Terraform for this script, right? So it's going to, what it's doing on the back end, right? Look at this. It's going to download Azure plugins and it's going to put it into a hidden folder, all right? This is what it's going to be doing. If I reveal this in Explorer, you can see I just got the main file. Make it a little bit smaller. So when this one downloads, right, it's going to create a hidden folder, a .terraform folder, and you're going to see it in both places. I just put it over here so you can see it at the same time. Let's give it a minute. It depends on your connection. But it basically is downloading the provider for Azure, right? The things that are going to help you to connect to it. All right, it's taking longer, but it will be here. I don't know why it's taking so long. Let me pause the video in the meantime because it's taking a long time, so I don't want to keep you waiting over here, just waiting for or listening to my voice while it download. I also don't want to get uh, pause it or cut the video, so you make sure that I don't trick on anything. But I need to. I will go ahead and pause it in the meantime. Usually it's not that slow. It will take maybe 20 seconds to download. So just let's give it another minute or something. All right, there you go. Now you got this message. If you see green, everything's good. But it basically says we download the new version. I think it took longer because I updated the Terraform version, remember, at the beginning of the video. So it created a few things for us. We got our main file with TFX extension, but also created Terraform locked HESL file, which is a log file he has internally to manage things. And he created this Terraform files with the providers, and he downloaded everything he needs to make sure he sees the Azure RM, the 3.0 version. He just pretty much downloaded a very specific file to work with the command line to make sure that everything we need is where you need it, right? We don't need to put it on a source control for this one, but just have that in mind. All good. So now the second command I like to run for this is validate. So let's go for that. And what validate does is will check your syntax and your code. Make sure that you don't have a typo that you put this one right or not. I'm going to show you an example of good and bad. So let's do validate from what we copied. It says my configuration is valid. Good. Let's screw it up over here. Let's do something like this, right? You see that immediately this one turns in different colors. It's not the same as the top. Let's run the validate again and see if we got any error. It says, hey, this resource, we don't know what it is. I don't know. This doesn't support by Linux. We don't. What do you mean? And they give you like a suggestion. Maybe you have a typo. Maybe you did, and I did, of course. So let's correct it. Now it's got fixed. Got the same colors again. Let's run the validate again, and see this is valid. We're getting somewhere over here, right? Good. Let's clean the screen again. That was two commands right now, init and validate. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the Terraform plan. This is one of the most important commands in Terraform, right? What's it going to be doing? He's going to go ahead and check in your infrastructure, in this case Azure, because that's the provider we have. It's going to check if we have something, if we have MME created. And when that happens, it's also going to create a different file over here. Let me go back to over here. It's going to create an state file, a .tfs state file. And I'm going to talk about that file while this goes in the plan. So this is the terraform.tfs state that is being created right over here. So what it's doing is he is comparing what is what you got, right? So I can compare what is what you got on your script, and based on that comparison, he is going to create a plan. And the plan is going to be showing to you. Let me pull this up so you can see the whole thing. So what is it doing, right? So when I run the plan, it creates everything you see on green over here with a plus sign, it means it's going to be creating something. Okay. So he says, I'm going to create an app Linux server pretty much with app authentication settings. This is what it does. All green stuff is going to be created. Site configurations, always on through. This is by default. We didn't set it anything of this. It's true, but I'm going to show you that how to change this in a minute. HTTP2 enabled, this is false, something I would like to change in the future. So stay with me. We will be all changing that in a moment. So at the end, it says I'm going to add 3 resources. I'm going to change 0 because there's nothing to change, and I'm going to destroy nothing, 0, nothing, nada, because there's nothing to be destroyed. All right. So this is my plan. I'm good with the plan. Yeah. So it says over here, good. If you see you can like it or like it, go ahead and run the Terraform apply, and let's do that. Since I'm logging into my Azure account, that's one of the first things I did in the video. This is going to go ahead and log into my subscription with my user and going to start creating resources. Now, this is going to fail. It doesn't show in the plan because the plan is perfect. It's nothing created, but it's going to fail, and you're going to see why in a minute. He's going to start creating stuff or check-in, right? So when it creates the resources, I intentionally forgot about changing the name of my web application because it have to be globally unique. It looks like it's going to fail. So now it ran the plan again, and it shows me what it's going to be doing, right? And it asks for the confirmation. I'm going to say yes. But again, it's going to fail creating this resource because example is not globally unique inside of Azure. So Terraform doesn't see that yet until it's applied, right? So when he creates the plan, it shows everything is green, everything is good to go. But when he asks Azure to give him the resource, right, and creates a globally unique resource, a web app with the example name, this one is already taken by somebody, right? So it's going to fail. Let's go to Azure. It says that it created the first thing, which was a resource group, right? It was created. We got it over here, example resource. And as you can see right now, it failed. So this is a good thing. Let's go to Azure. Let's see if we got an example resource. Says RG. Good. It was built on West Europe and actually built a plan. But it fails creating the app service. Right? This is good. This is good because this is exactly what we wanted to. And to show you on this demo. So it fails. Let's read. It says the site name example failed the availability checked. Hostname example it already exists. It means it's not globally unique. Yeah, how can I forget this? Okay, so let's change this again, right? This is a good thing. So let's how do we deal with this? Let's go into the web app, and I'm going to change a few things. I'm going to change the plan. I'm going to put it over here, -edo 123 to make sure it's mine. Not over here. Let's put it over here. And the example, I'm going to set it up as edu, like my name, 1234, to make sure that nobody has this, and it's going to be globally unique across the globe, right? So let's do this again. Let's validate. Let's see if it is it good. Validation is good. So let's plan again to see if it works. And this one, the state file, we're going to show you the state file. It's locked, so we cannot use it right now. So, but once it's done, right, we might take a look at peek. We might take a peek on it and see what it's doing. All right, it's refreshing. Let's see what it says over here. Let me show you first what the state file is and explain a little bit what is the state file. Since we already create some resources over here, right? We already have a resource group and an app service plan. And the state file is just a snapshot of what is created by Terraform and managed by Terraform so far. That is what it is. So it's hard to read it and understand what it is, but it pretty much says, hey, I got a list of resources over here, and this one is managed by me, by Terraform. This is the type of resource I have managed, and this is the name I got it. What's the provider is over here, yeah, and it goes and says, hey, what's the ID? It's point to the ID of the resource, right? If you look for this, this is the subscription, sorry, the ID of the resource group. If I go over here to the resource group, I'm the resource group and I go to properties, this is the same value you're going to find over here. This is what you're looking at. West Europe, right? So you can see this is a list of attributes. So also have a manage um, service plan called example. And yes, we do. We can see it over here as example plan. It's how they call. But that's it, right? As long as you have the bigger the list you have for it, the bigger you're gonna see the list of resources over here. So it's all good over here. So let's revise our plan again. Remember that it fails. We run a Terraform plan again, and this is what it generates. Okay, it says, hey, I'm gonna create a Linux app service um, from your example, right? It's going to give a name and attribute settings, blah, blah, blah. And all the green stuff you see over here is going to be added. So it's going to add two things. It's going to add the app service again, because as you might know, we cannot rename resources in Azure. And remember, I rename my app service plan. I set it over here. So what Terraform will do is, you guessed it, is going to destroy the app service plan. He's going to recreate it as new with the new name, and then he's going to create the app service and attach it to this app service plan. That's exactly what's going to be happening. That's what he says. I'm going to create two resources, of course, app service and the app service plan. And I'm going to show you the app service we created before because it doesn't fit, it doesn't match the name you wanted to. And since we cannot rename it, uh, that's the way we got to go deal with it. Let's go ahead and apply. This time should be okay. This time should be okay. And we're going to be able to see the creation of it. It's going to take around 2 or 3 minutes. So bear with me. Be patient. I don't want to pause the video so you guys can see the whole thing being created. And the first thing we're going to be looking at it here, he runs the plan again. He's going to give it the warnings and the whistles, right? Says, hey, this service plan is going to be changed because when you change the name, it's going to be replaced. So it forces a replacement, right? So it says, we going to pass from example plan to example idio plan. If you're here with that, let's say yes. So it will start. I'm going to put this over here. And I'm going to have this right here. So let's see what it's doing. It's creating a few stuff, but let me make room for this one. So destruction completed after 9 seconds. So that means service plan should be gone in a second. Remember, this is not as fast as we wanted to, but it's got destroyed. The best is going out in. So now I start creating stuff. It start creating the edu plan, right? It's creating. Again, I can take out of here. I still have a resource group which wasn't deleted. And I still have the exam plan again. It's, hey, now I got rename. So I got the plan, but now this time with the name I wanted to. Let's wait for the app, make sure that it works. So let's keep waiting over here. Let's go back out and see now. Green, remember when I told you green is good? Good. There was 2 resources added, 1 0 change and 1 destroyed. If I refresh over here, I should have my website. Now this one is globally unique, right? If I go to that URL, I should be able to hit it. Since it's being created recently, we have to wait it up to warm up the host. So while that happens, I'm going to do something um, right over here really fast. Remember when we set it up over here, so in here, let me found it. For example, this F state is disabled. And let me show you what that is in here. It's the FTPS state. So let's go for that one, or HTTP to enable. So on the general settings, right, we got FTP is disabled. We got a few choices over here. We're going to be enabling over here. And we got HTTP minimal TLS version is 1.2, which is good for us. This is the one we want. But let's change HTTP to enable, right? It says false. So let's use this one. Also going to show you that in the documentation. This is on the site config block. So that means I can go ahead and change over here. Add this value over here. No, not this one. So you can see that always on is always on over here is on this part, right? So this, what I'm going to show you next is not also you can create resources, you can configure and manage your resources in here. So the next steps we're going to be doing is going to be HTTP. Let me see if I can let me copy. If not, enable. And what are my choices? True or false? Let's see if that is correct. To make sure that I got the right value over here, I'm going to go back to documentation. And this is where I have my Linux web app, right? Let's do a Control F. And this is the value, the attribute. Good, I got it over there. Optional should be HTTP enable. And if I click on it, it will take me to the values that I don't see it right now. Let me. Oh, come on again. This is inside of a block. Let me show you the block we're talking about. Site configuration block. This is the site configuration block. So right now it was false. Now it's true. So on our site, it was false. And I'm going to set it to true to generate a change on this one. Right. So also the FTP, I think I can set it up to a different. So let's see what about the FTP state is. Oh, come on. Wait, all that. There's another settings I found over here, HTTP only, which is this one is off. This is set to false, right? So let's generate that. Let's just do that. See if that works. I don't trust this one too much. But let's look for, let's close those a little bit. So let's set the true to see if we can generate those changes, right? I like that the way it looks like. This is on the cancellation over here. Should be on the block of the. Oh, actually, that one is just settings outside. So it doesn't go over here. Should be going here. See? The color says that we got it correctly this time. So let's do that. Let's run the validate over here. Let me clear the screen. Let's run the validation. It's good. Let's do a plan again. So once we got the planning, we're going to be seeing if those changes are going to be reflected on what we need. All right. It says it's going to change something from false to truth. And also this is going to be changed from false to true, right? If that is correct, this setting is going to be turned on. And the other one, it was HTTP only. This is going to be on. And HTTP 2 over here should be on 2.0, right? I'm not going to change anything over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply. This one should be pretty quick because it's not going to create resources. It's going to just reconfigure. And the good thing of this one is it's a declarative way you do it. You're going to see that in a minute. That means that it's going to set this application as we set it on code. Because I don't know if you have the chance to do that before, but sometimes you have people that touches your configuration, messes up with it, and sometimes your application stopped working because somebody changed something, it didn't do anything, you don't know what it did, but it stopped working because the configuration changed. A misconfiguration, I would say. So this is a good way to put your application the way it was, the way it should be working, and to have it completely under source control, right? So that means when you move to dev to QA from to prod, then all will be good. Remember the changes, this should be 2.0 and this one should be on according to this one. Let's see if it changes. I'm just gonna refresh it once it's done. It says like it's changed. Good. Let's see if it changes. Okay, let's go to general settings. Now HTTP version is on 2.0 and HTTP is always on. Good. See, this is how you maintain the code for what you're doing. So this is how we generate it. We can create another site over here. For example, the same thing. I can just let's do something we shouldn't be doing, like copying. There's a different way to do this, but I'm gonna just putting this into example. So I'm gonna create another app, another website, creating it, just changing the name over here, and see if it works. And you're gonna see that it's gonna be also. It didn't like that. Example. What didn't like that is I have the same identifier for this one. This one is the same as this. So let's change to 2 over here, and that should work. Let's wait for that. And we're going to see that under resources, there's going to be another created once we said created. So I'm going to pause the video so you, well, after I do that, so you don't wait that much. But let's see what it's doing. And I'm going to run just the Terraform apply. It says again, it's going to create one more. This is going to be adding. It's not going to change anything else. So let's go for that. Let's go apply. Let me pause the video while it creates. Right, we are back and took a couple minutes, right? And it created. It says now we got something with 5. So first of all, I'm going to show you the last website we opened it up. It is example ADO1234 on the main website over here. So you can see it is working. And I'm going to refresh this to see if we got a second website under the same app service plan. And we do. We have a second one over here that is also working. Let me open it up. The URL. Let's see. Let's wait up. No, this one is already warm up. See? We're cool real fast. And let's check the configuration to see if it checks the same thing, right? It's a different way when you're creating this one, because if you create 20 websites, you don't want to create the entire thing and changing the service plan or creating stuff. There's a way you can just iterate this over a list and create different multiple websites with the same configuration. I just did that for practical purposes, but you can see over here HTTP version, just everything is running as I set it up, HTTP only and HTTP 2.0. So we're good to go for this one. Last thing I wanted to show you with this demo, just to finalize, is destroy. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to destroy our resources so we don't keep generating consumption in, destroy. Sorry, Terraform. So he's going to be doing again and is going to go ahead and going to destroy everything we created from here, right? So let's put it over here. It's going to request the confirmation from myself. We're just going to leave it over here so you can see what we're talking. And once I confirm, yes, this is everything I want to go ahead and destroy. By the way, let me see if I got the state file. Now, again, it's blocked because it's been used by Terraform. Okay. Let's say yes. I'm going to destroy everything. So it will take a couple of minutes again to destroy it. And it's going to start. So be with me. I'm going to pause the video to make it shorter because it's very long already. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I just want to show you still destroying stuff. It's still on progress. I wanted to refresh if something to see if something is gone. Start taking away stuff. See, this one is already gone. Now we're going to take away the plan. Eventually, plan is gone. So the only thing we got left is the resource. Example resource RG. And should be gone in a minute. Let's see if that happens. So took like around a minute maybe to delete everything. So very efficient on this one. So let's go to again the resource group. Let's see. Not yet. Let's keep it paused. Alright, it ended up 4 things destroyed, 4 resources. Now this one should be gone. Let's move along. Let's enter to something else. And there you go. It's gone. No longer over here. So with this, we conclude our big picture for Terraform, right? It wasn't a little bit more than a big picture. I hope you enjoyed the video and learn the basics of Terraform for this. See you in the next one, guys.